We're here with yet another inspirational NZ girl who is going to be speaking at this weekend's TEDxAuckland, Robyn Paterson. Welcome to NZ Girl, Robyn.
Thank you.
Robyn is a highly respected and successful film and television director, writer and producer.
Yes, I have produced. I don't want to overstate it.
And so we're obviously thrilled to have her here in the office so we can ask her a few questions. So to start off with, Robyn, what's it like working in the film and television industry in New Zealand? How did you get into it?
I got into it by something I've been keen on for a long time. I did a degree in performance and directing theatre, actually, so I started off in a theatre background. Then I directed a short film just with a group of friends, actually, just for fun, and off the back of that got my first sort of directing and presenting job in television. It was a while ago now. I think the industry is a lot more challenging and a lot less glamorous than people think it is. You do long hours, you put in a lot of work, and it's not, in most areas it's not actually particularly well paid either. So it is a lot of work and you have to love it if you want to do it.
Yeah, and you obviously love it.
I do, yeah, definitely do.
What would be your favourite aspect? Or your favourite aspect of the role, I guess?
My favourite aspect of the role, or the favourite role that I've done, is I have done sort of a variety of, I've sort of tried a variety of roles within the industry, and my favourite one is definitely directing, and I do particularly like directing documentary. I think that's because in my background I have done community work and that sort of thing as well, and I feel like through documentary you can tell a story but also communicate some things that, you know, people need to hear, or you can make a difference through telling it. So I guess that's what motivates me with documentary.
So have you always wanted to do documentary, or have you tried your hand at more drama or non-fiction fiction roles?
Yeah, I'm a little bit easily distracted, but and so I have tried a number of different things because I do enjoy a number of different things. But actually, documentary is something that I've been keen on since I was a teenager. And actually, I'd love to go to school now. Just in the last decade or so, since I left school, there's been such a change in terms of what's available through media studies and all that sort of thing. And I'd love to have the opportunity to do that at school now.
Yeah, actually, growing up, I did media studies, and it was definitely my favourite. I was actually really into editing.
Yes, yeah, that's great.
Have you done much editing?
I'm not a skilled editor, no. I like the editing process in that I like chopping up a story. It's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, actually, and just sort of figuring out how you can tell it. A lot of the writing for documentary gets done in the edit, but in terms of the technical aspects of editing, I'm not really skilled in that area.
You touched on an interesting thing there. What's the sort of process to take an idea to a full-length documentary? How long does it take? How does it come about? It seems very backwards for most of the writing to be done in the editing phase.
Yeah, and it depends very much on your subject material as well. That varies a lot from documentary to documentary. In terms of how long it takes, it's how long's a piece of string and how long have you got in your budget, and often that's not as long as you'd like to have. So that varies a lot. The edit process for Finding Mercy was 12 weeks, give or take. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a lot, and because the type of documentary that Finding Mercy is, we went off on this journey and we really didn't know at the beginning what was going to happen. We literally had no idea, so we had to just sort of keep filming down lots of avenues. We didn't know where that was going to take us. So what you end up with that kind of story is a lot of footage, and you then have to work through that and kind of go, okay, where's the story and where are the main points and what bits should we just, you know, let go because they're going to be confusing, or
sure.
Yeah.
So 12 weeks, is that a long time in the scheme of things? Like what?
It's never long enough. Officially we had 8 weeks.
Okay.
You know, my wonderful editor Tim Woodhouse, we managed to stretch that to essentially becoming 12 weeks. And yeah, I mean that was enough.
Yeah.
It's always good to have more. You know, some documentaries definitely do have more, and they edit as they go along, and they're sort of doing it in lots of different ways. But in this case, that's how it had to work. So, yeah.
And you touched on Finding Mercy, and that's your award-winning debut feature-length documentary, isn't it? Do you want to talk us through what that's about and what inspired you to do that? I believe it's got a very personal touch for you.
It's very personal, and that was actually quite challenging when I was doing it. Finding Mercy is the story of me trying to find a friend that I'd lost contact with in Zimbabwe. I grew up in Zimbabwe, and when she and I were 8, we were chosen to meet Robert Mugabe, give him flowers and so forth. You know, I was white, blonde hair, she was dark skin, and Ndebele, and we were, I guess, sort of, poster kids on that day at that moment. And then we stayed friends till until we were teenagers, and then I lost contact with her. And I started over the course of the years watching what was happening in Zimbabwe after we moved to New Zealand, and just started to get more and more worried about her. So it's the story of me trying to find her in Zimbabwe, trying to find some trace of her and reconnect with her. Yeah.
That sounds very brave. You touched on some challenges. What challenges, did you face during filming, from start to finish, really?
There were a lot of tense situations that we got ourselves into, and sometimes that was due to naivety on my part. You really have to try and read a situation in Zimbabwe. We put a lot of work before we went and while we were there into the safety not only of the crew but of the people that we were meeting along the way, because that was super important to us. But although it was a risk, and it was a risk to take, it just doesn't even compare to the risks that people are taking every day inside Zimbabwe, especially at the moment. We've got elections going on at the moment, and people are really sticking their necks out to work for change inside the country. So yeah, ours doesn't really even factor on the scale.
What sort of risks did you guys take?
We got ourselves into a number of situations. The thing in Zimbabwe is that it's not obvious where the danger is coming from. The danger can be very hidden, which makes it hard to read. You've constantly got to be reading people and reading the situation. And on one occasion we were taken deep into the bush by an armed police officer. And it's a long story which unravels in the film, but that was a situation that, had we been able to avoid, we certainly would have avoided that, because it was very uncomfortable. It was a very long day. We didn't know, just literally didn't know where that was going to end. So yeah, that was tricky.
Yeah, that sounds scary even, very scary.
That was definitely probably the scariest day that we had over there. Yeah. So you just constantly have to read the situation, and sometimes you get it wrong.
Yeah. Wow. I believe you're touching on your experience with Finding Mercy in Zimbabwe at TED Talks this weekend. First off, how did you get involved with TEDxAuckland?
I got a call or an email from them at the beginning of the year off the back of the documentary. One of them had seen it, and so I was contacted off the back of that and asked if I'd like to do a TED Talk. So it's great. It's a great opportunity, and it's really nice to be able to speak about Zimbabwe. Yeah. And I'll be speaking about it a little bit more broadly than in the film as well, because I don't want to just tell the film, because people have seen it or people can see it. So yeah, it's a little bit more about my personal experience growing up and the general Zimbabwe situation.
So that essentially, without giving it away, is what you'll be covering off? Yeah,
that's right.
Awesome. And now TED Talks, there's a lot of them out there, all very inspiring. What would you say is your favourite one, or the one that's impacted you the most?
Oh, that is a tricky one to answer. There are so many, and they range so much. What I love about them is they range so much in subject material. I've seen a lot of science ones, because sort of like secret science that I quite like. But actually I saw one recently which was about a young guy who grew up in North Korea and has still lost contact with his family, and I guess I connected with that one because there's some crossover in terms of Zimbabwe, North Korea, and people losing people, and it just felt really empathetic towards him, but he still can't find members of his family, so that really stuck in my mind. Yeah.
And so I will put a link to that one. I'll find it for you so you guys can watch it after this. What is your next project? What's next on the horizon for you?
Well, at the moment I'm working for Attitude TV, which is actually a Sunday morning program. It's a regular documentary series that runs on a Sunday. And I'm really enjoying that. It's focused around the lives of people living with disability, but within that there's such a huge range of stories and personalities and people, anything from Paralympic athletes through to a little boy who I covered recently who's blind. He's 12 and he's had to move from his home in Blenheim to Auckland. He's an incredible pianist, amazingly talented, so it's really interesting doing that job.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Robyn. It is always great to hear from inspiring NZ girls making waves in their chosen careers, and good luck for your talk this weekend.
Thank you.
And yeah, we hope we're sure we'll be seeing more of you in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
No problem. Thanks so much.